Lieutenant Jack Miller stepped off the transport ship and onto the gleaming metal dock of Galactic Cooperation Initiative Academy. The massive space station hung in orbit around a blue-green gas giant, its rings glittering like jewelry in the light of a distant sun. Jack adjusted his uniform and touched the long scar that ran from his left temple down to his jaw. The medical tech on Mars could have removed it completely, but he had chosen to keep it. The dock buzzed with activity. Beings from a dozen different worlds moved about with purpose. Some walked on legs, others glided on tentacles, and a few floated on anti-gravity discs. Jack spotted 3 other humans among the crowd, their familiar forms a comfort in this sea of strangeness. "Human Miller, report to Processing Station 7, announced a melodic voice from overhead. Jack made his way to a small booth where a tall, blue-skinned alien with 4 arms worked quickly at several screens. The alien looked up, and its large, silver eyes widened slightly at the sight of Jack's face. "I am Professor Vixer of the Jalari. Welcome to GCI Academy," it said, voice clicking on certain sounds. "You are among the first humans selected for training. This is most interesting." Vixer's eyes kept darting to Jack's scar, though the alien clearly tried not to stare. "Thank you, Professor." "I'm honored to be here," Jack replied, standing straight and tall. Vixer handed him a small device. "Your room assignment and schedule. Your first class begins in 3 hours. You should visit medical for your arrival scan before then." At the medical bay, Jack met the first major cultural clash. The Tellurian doctor, a short, fuzzy being with 8 fingers on each hand, gasped when scanning Jack's face. "This damage, how terrible! We must fix it immediately," the doctor said, already reaching for a regeneration tool. Jack stepped back. "No, thank you. The scar stays." The doctor blinked all 4 eyes in confusion. "But why would you keep damaged? Tissue? It serves no function." "It reminds me of an important battle. It has meaning," Jack explained. The doctor looked troubled but made a note in Jack's file. This would not be the last such conversation. Later, Jack attended his first combat training session in a large gymnasium-like room. The instructor, a massive reptilian being named Druxtal, towered over even the tallest students. "I am Combat Master Druxtal. You will learn to defend yourself using the approved techniques of the Galactic Peacekeeping Force," the instructor announced, voice rumbling like distant thunder. When Druxtal spotted Jack among the students, his scaled brow furrowed. During the training exercises, Jack noticed the instructor watching him closely, especially when physical exertion made the scar tissue stand out more prominently against his flushed skin. After training, Jack made his way to his assigned quarters. The door slid open to reveal a simple room with 2 sleeping areas. A human woman was already there, unpacking a small bag. "You must be my roommate. I'm Lily Parker, Earth Defense Force," she said with a smile, extending her hand. Jack shook it. "Jack Miller, Mars Colonial Defense." Lily had a small thin scar across her knuckles. Jack nodded toward it. "Boxing? Bar fight, actually," she laughed. "You should see the other guy. Nice face decoration you've got there." Jack touched his scar. "Pirate raid on Olympus mining station. Got this pulling 2 kids out of a collapsed tunnel." Their conversation was interrupted when the door chimed and slid open again. A young Peldorian with iridescent scales stood nervously in the doorway. "Excuse the intrusion." "I am Shinitel, your neighbor across the hall," the alien said softly. I could not help but notice. "Is it true humans keep your injuries as decorations?" Jack and Lily exchanged looks. "They're not decorations," Jack explained patiently. "They're memories, stories." Shinitel looked fascinated and disturbed at the same time. "Most unusual. In my culture, showing signs of damage is deeply shameful." After the Peldorian left, Lily flopped onto her bed. "Well, that was awkward. Have you noticed how they all stare at our scars? It's like we're walking mysteries to them." Jack nodded. "I think our stay here is going to be very interesting." Through the large viewing window in their room, the swirling colors of the gas giant painted patterns of light across the walls. Jack watched the hypnotic display and wondered what other misunderstandings waited in the days ahead. Jack entered the combat training hall for his second day at the academy. The large circular room buzzed with the chatter of 20 different species. Some had claws, others tentacles, and a few floated above the ground. Jack nodded to Lily, who was stretching in the corner. Combat Master Druxtall stomped into the center of the room. His scaled skin gleamed under the bright lights, and his yellow eyes swept over the students. "Today we test your natural abilities," he rumbled. "You will compete in pairs." The alien students moved with grace and power. A melodeon spun through the air, its forearms striking with blinding speed. A Tellurian used its low center of gravity to throw opponents twice its size. "Human Miller and Kravtix, step forward," called Druxtall. Jack faced a tall insect-like being with chitinous armor and forearms ending in pincer-like hands. Kravtix clicked its mandibles in what might have been a smile. "Begin," ordered Druxtall. Kravtix moved fast, its arms a blur. Jack ducked under the first strike, blocked the second, but the third caught him in the side. He rolled with the blow, using the momentum to move inside the alien's reach. Jack had fought in lower gravity on Mars. He knew how to use his weight efficiently. Jack landed 3 quick punches to the softer joints in Kravtix's armor. The alien stumbled back, surprised. Jack pressed forward, using quick, hard strikes to keep the alien off balance. "Enough," called Druxtall after Jack completed a takedown. "Unexpected tactics, Human Miller. Effective use of your limitations." Jack helped Kravtix up. The insectoid alien studied him with compound eyes. "Your species looks fragile, yet you fight well." During a water break, Jack noticed many alien students glancing his way. His scar stood out red against his sweaty skin. Young Sinitel approached cautiously. "Excuse me, Human Miller. May I ask about your facial marking?" Shinitel's scales shifted from blue to green with nervousness. "It's a scar from a battle," Jack explained. 3 years ago, pirates attacked a mining colony on Mars. I was stationed there as security." Shinitel's head tilted. "But why keep damaged tissue? Among my people, we regenerate all injuries. To show damage is—" The alien paused, searching for words. "It suggests weakness or poor medical care." "For humans, scars can be badges of honor," Jack said. "This one reminds me of the day I pulled 2 children from a collapsed tunnel while under fire. One pirate got too close with a plasma cutter." Sinitel's scales flickered with rapid color changes. "You display it proudly because it represents your survival and helping others?" "Exactly." By lunch, Jack noticed whispers and glances from more alien students. In the dining hall, he sat with Lily and 2 other humans, Alan Ford and Maria Diaz, both with visible scars of their own. "They're all talking about us," Maria said, touching a burn scar on her forearm. "I heard some Jalari students call us the Damage Keepers." Alan laughed. "Yesterday, a medical student offered to fix the scar on my hand. When I refused, he looked at me like I was crazy." Professor Viexier approached their table, datapad in one of his 4 hands. "Excuse the interruption. The Cultural Integration Committee has scheduled an urgent seminar for tomorrow. Attendance is mandatory for all human students." "What's it about?" asked Lily. "Traumatic injury management practices across species." Viexsire's silver eyes darted to Jack's scar. "We believe there are significant cultural differences to address." After Viexire left, the humans exchanged looks. "Did he just schedule a meeting about our scars?" Maria asked. Jack nodded. "I think we're becoming a cultural case study." That evening, Jack found a message on his datapad. Professor Viexire had requested his help preparing materials for the seminar. Jack was asked to explain the human tradition of battle damage preservation. As Jack composed his response, he realized how difficult it was to explain something so natural to him. How could he make aliens understand that human scars were not just unhealed wounds but stories written on skin? That every mark was a memory, a lesson, a moment when life had tested them and they had endured. Jack looked at his reflection in the window. Beyond his image, the gas giant's swirling storms raged silently. He touched his scar and wondered if bridges could be built across such different ways of seeing the world. The seminar room filled quickly with a mix of humans and curious aliens. Jack sat in the front row beside Lily, Alan, and Maria. Behind them, at least 30 alien students from various species whispered and pointed, their eyes drawn to the humans. Visible scars. Professor Vieksire stood at the front of the room. His blue skin contrasted with the white walls, and all 4 of his arms held different teaching tools. A large screen behind him displayed the title, Traumatic Injury Management, Cultural Perspectives. Today we address an important cultural difference, Vieksire began, his voice clicking slightly. Among most galactic species, visible injuries are promptly repaired with regenerative medicine. However, our human colleagues intentionally preserve their damage markers. Jack shifted uncomfortably as all eyes turned to the humans. To help us understand this practice, we have invited Officer Ryan Murphy, Human Liaison to the Academy Council. Tall, older human man walked to the front. Gray streaked his hair and his face and hands bore multiple scars. The alien students murmured with increased interest. "Thank you, Professor," Ryan said. "I understand our scar tradition seems strange to many of you. For humans, physical marks often carry personal meaning and history." A Melogian student raised a tentacle. "Is it not painful to maintain damaged tissue?" "Sometimes there's minor discomfort," Ryan admitted, "but the meaning outweighs that." "What meaning?" asked a floating Drexian, its gas-filled body pulsing with confusion. Ryan touched a jagged scar on his hand. "This reminds me of the day I saved my brother from a burning building. This one," he pointed to his cheek, "came from my first space battle. Each tells a story of survival, courage, or sacrifice." Professor Vieksire displayed medical diagrams. Most species would view these imperfections as signs of failure or inadequate medical care. "We see them differently," Jack spoke up. "They're not failures, but reminders of challenges we've overcome." "But you could remember without the physical reminder," said Sinitel, scales shifting to a confused purple. Lily leaned forward. "It's more than memory. It's honor. Proof that we faced something difficult and survived." An elegant Irvani with crystalline skin rose. "Among my people, any physical flaw reflects badly on your family's genetic quality. We would rather die than live with visible damage." The room tensed. Jack could feel the cultural divide widening. Ryan tried again. "Think of human scars like the rings of a tree. They mark growth through adversity." Combat Master Druxtall, who had been silently watching from the back, stepped forward. "Perhaps there is combat wisdom in this practice. A visible record of battles survived could have psychological value." "Exactly," Jack said. "When I face new challenges, my scars remind me that I've overcome difficult situations before." Professor Vieksire seemed troubled. "Our medical technology can reproduce any memory in perfect detail. Physical markers seem primitive." "With respect, Professor," Ryan countered, "not everything valuable is perfect or efficient. Some things matter precisely because they're difficult or painful." The conversation was clearly not bridging the gap. Alien students looked increasingly disturbed, while the humans grew frustrated at being treated like puzzling specimens. A young Jalari raised a hand. "Do humans feel shame when others see their damage?" Before anyone could answer, a piercing alarm blared throughout the room. Red lights flashed on the walls. Professor Vieksire quickly checked his datapad. "Emergency alert," he announced. "2 of A," his hands moving rapidly over the controls. "A training vessel has been damaged by an unexpected solar flare. It's drifting toward the gravity well of the gas giant with cadets aboard." The room erupted in concerned voices. "How many students?" Druxtall demanded. 15 cadets from 5 species, Vieksire replied, including 1 human, Cadet Sam Cooper. The aliens began discussing rescue protocols and procedures, but Jack saw the worry in Vieksire's eyes. "What's wrong?" Jack asked. "Most senior staff are at the quarterly conference on the other side of the system," Vieksire explained quietly. "The closest rescue ships are 3 hours away. The vessel will reach critical orbit in less than 2. Jack exchanged looks with the other humans. Their seminar on battle scars suddenly seemed trivial compared to the real danger unfolding now. Jack stood up. "Then we need to organize a rescue mission immediately," he said. "With the available staff and advanced cadets, The cultural misunderstanding would have to wait. Lives were at stake, and that was a language all species understood. The Emergency Response Center hummed with tense activity. Academy officials gathered around holographic displays showing the damaged training vessel. Its orbit was deteriorating as it drifted toward the gas giant's powerful gravity. "The stellar wind is losing power," announced a Tellurian technician. "Life support systems will fail in approximately 90 minutes. Academy Director Clovari, a tall, thin alien with pale skin and 6 fingers on each hand, studied the data with grave concern. "We have 15 cadets aboard, including representatives from the Jalari, Peldorian, Melogian, Irvani, and human species." Professor Vexire manipulated the hologram with all 4 hands. "We've lost direct communication. Their main systems are damaged from the solar flare. We're receiving only automated distress signals." "What rescue assets do we have available?" asked Director Clovari. "Most senior rescue staff are at the conference. The main rescue vessels are with them," answered Vexire. "We have 1 auxiliary shuttle and limited experienced personnel." Jack stood near the back with Lily, listening intently. He stepped forward. "I have experience with rescue operations during my time with Mars Colonial Defense." Director Clovari's large eyes blinked slowly. "This is a highly technical situation requiring proper protocols, Human Miller." "With respect, Director," Jack replied. "I've performed emergency docking procedures during solar storm conditions. Time is critical here." Lily joined him. "I also have rescue training from Earth Defense Force. We're volunteering to help." Druxtal, who had followed from the seminar, rumbled his agreement. "The humans have shown unusual adaptability in training exercises. Their experience with suboptimal conditions may be valuable." The director's expression showed doubt. Several alien officials whispered concerns about emotional human approaches and unpredictable behavior patterns. Professor Vexire surprised everyone by supporting the humans. "Director, while humans maintain unusual practices regarding physical damage, this very trait suggests psychological adaptation to danger. I believe their assistance could be valuable." Another alarm sounded. A technician called out, "The stellar wind's orbit has degraded further. New estimate, 73 minutes until critical failure." Director Clovari made his decision. "Assemble a small rescue team immediately. Professor Vexire will lead, with Combat Master Druxtal providing security. The human volunteers may join if they accept all safety protocols." Jack and Lily quickly agreed. 2 other Academy instructors, a Jalari engineer named Mexley and a Tellurian medical specialist named Piri, completed the team. As they hurried to prepare, Jack gathered emergency equipment while Lily studied the damaged ship's schematics. "The cadet named Sam Cooper," Jack asked Vexire. "What can you tell me about them?" "First year. Engineering focus. Transferred from Earth's Lunar Academy," Vexire replied, checking systems on his datapad. "Do you know this human?" "No, but it doesn't matter. They're one of ours," Jack said. Vexire's silver eyes studied Jack. "This response is typical of your species. You form strong group bonds with unknown humans, yet you intentionally maintain physical damage. Most puzzling." They reached the shuttle bay where their small rescue vessel waited. It was sleek, but barely large enough for the team and potential. Survivors Druxtal performed final weapons checks. "If we encounter debris, we may need to clear a path." As they boarded, Jack noticed Genitel watching from the observation deck above. The young Peldorian's scales had turned a deep blue, which Jack had learned indicated worry. The rescue team strapped into their seats. Jack felt the familiar pre-mission tension, the calm focus that came before danger. He glanced at Lily, who gave him a determined nod. "Launch sequence initiated," announced the flight computer. Professor Vexire turned to the humans. "I must note that Academy protocol does not recommend emotional attachment to rescue outcomes. The objective analysis of success probability is currently at 67%. Jack smiled slightly. "With respect, Professor, humans don't work that way. We don't calculate odds. We change them." The shuttle bay doors opened to the vastness of space. Before them, the massive swirling colors of the gas giant filled half the view. Somewhere against that beautiful but deadly backdrop drifted 15 young cadets counting on their arrival. The engines fired, and the small rescue shuttle shot forward into the void. The rescue shuttle cut through space toward the damaged vessel. Through the viewports, the swirling colors of the gas giant grew larger, its gravity already pulling at them. Jack watched as Vexier piloted with all four hands moving across the controls. Approaching target in 6 minutes, Vexier announced, attempting to establish communication. The professor pressed several buttons, but only static came through the speakers. Lily frowned as she studied the sensor readings. The solar flare must have damaged their communication array, she said. Suddenly, the shuttle shuddered. Warning lights flashed across the control panel. We're experiencing interference from the gas giant's magnetic field, Mexili, the Jalari engineer reported. It's affecting our navigation systems. Viegzier's hands worked quickly, but his expression showed growing concern. The automated docking system is not responding correctly. We cannot complete standard docking procedures. Jack unbuckled his safety harness and moved forward. Let me see the readouts. Vexier moved aside slightly as Jack studied the controls. The human's eyes narrowed as he assessed the situation. We need to dock manually, Jack decided. I've done this before during the Mars colony crisis when our systems were damaged by raiders. Druxtal rumbled from his seat. That is against safety protocols. The risk of hull breach is too high. The risk of doing nothing is higher, Jack countered. Those cadets have less than an hour of life support left. Professor Vexier hesitated, his silver eyes moving from the controls to Jack and back. What would this manual procedure entail? I'll guide us in using visual references and the remaining functional sensors, Jack explained. Lily can monitor our approach angle from the secondary station. I must note my objection, Druxtal insisted. This human method lacks proper safeguards. Vexier studied the situation for a moment, then made his decision. Under the circumstances, we will attempt human Miller's approach. The protocols were designed for optimal conditions, which we clearly lack. As they drew closer to the stellar wind, they could see the damage. Part of the hull was scorched from the solar flare and the vessel rotated slowly, making approach even more difficult. Transferring manual control, Vexier said, his fingers dancing across the panels. Jack took the controls, his face set in concentration. Lily, give me our approach vectors. 30 degrees off optimal, she called, compensating for rotation. We'll need to match spin before contact. The rescue shuttle moved carefully toward the damaged vessel. Jack's hands were steady as he adjusted, their course compensating for the unpredictable magnetic interference. Approaching docking port, Jack announced. Everyone brace for contact. The shuttle inched forward. The docking mechanisms weren't perfectly aligned. Metal scraped against metal as Jack forced the connection. Hull integrity at risk, warned the computer. Just a little more, Jack muttered, sweat beading on his forehead. With a loud clang and a shudder through the shuttle, the docking clamps engaged. Red warning lights flashed, but the seal held. Docking complete, Jack announced, but we've sustained damage to our own vessel. Mexili ran quick diagnostics. The shuttle's port thruster array is compromised. Our maneuvering capability will be limited for the return journey. We'll worry about that later, Lily said. Let's get those cadets. Druxtal checked his weapon. I will lead the boarding party. Life signs scan shows 12 active readings, clustered in the main cabin, Peary, the Tellurian medic, reported. 3 more are faint and located near the engine room. The injured ones first, Jack said, gathering emergency medical supplies. Professor Vexier activated the airlock. I find it notable that you immediately prioritize the most damaged individuals, Human Miller. Most rescue protocols would secure the majority first. No one gets left behind, Jack replied simply. As the airlock cycled, Jack caught Vexier studying his facial scar again, but the professor's expression had changed. There was something new there, not confusion or discomfort, but a glimmer of understanding. The inner door opened, revealing the darkened corridor of the stellar wind. Emergency lights cast eerie shadows. The air was thin and cold. Somewhere inside, 15 young cadets waited for rescue, including one human who might understand what Jack's scar truly meant better than any alien ever could. "Let's move," Jack said, stepping through the airlock. "Time is running out." The rescue team moved through the darkened corridors of the stellar wind. Emergency lights cast red shadows across their faces. Jack and Lily led the way with Druxtal close behind, his scaled hand on his weapon. Professor Viexir monitored their portable life support systems, while Peary carried medical supplies. "Main cabin ahead," Jack said, pointing down the corridor. "But we should check the engine room first. That's where the critical cases are." The ship groaned around them as it continued its slow drift toward the gas giant. They could feel the increasing gravitational pull. "Time is short," Druxtal warned. "Standard procedure is to secure the largest number of survivors first." Jack shook his head. "The injured might not survive if we wait. Lily and I will check the engine room. The rest of you head to the main cabin." Viexir hesitated. "Splitting our resources is not recommended. Sometimes you have to break protocol to save lives," Jack insisted. "Trust me on this." After a moment, Viexir nodded. "We will proceed to the main cabin and begin evacuation. Join us as quickly as possible." Jack and Lily hurried toward the engine room while the others continued forward. The ship creaked and shuddered. "This hull won't hold much longer," Lily said quietly. They reached the engine room and found the door partially blocked by fallen debris. Jack pushed through the narrow opening and stepped into chaos. Equipment lay scattered across the floor. Sparks flew from damaged control panels. In the dim light, they spotted 3 cadets trapped behind a fallen support beam. One was a young Melogian with a crushed tentacle. Beside it lay an unconscious Irvani, its crystalline skin cracked. The third was a human, Sam Cooper. Blood streaked Sam's face, but the cadet was conscious, trying to free the others. "Help's here," Jack called, rushing forward. "I'm Lieutenant Miller from the Academy." Relief washed over Sam's face. "The others, in the main cabin." "Another team is helping them," Lily assured, kneeling to check the Irvani's injuries. Jack examined the fallen beam. "We need to lift this to free them. The Melogian is pinned." Together, Jack and Lily positioned themselves on either side of the beam. With a coordinated effort, they lifted it just enough for Sam to pull the injured Melogian free. Lily then helped the Irvani, whose crystalline body made a tinkling sound as it moved. Jack's communicator crackled. Vexir's voice came through with static. "We have secured 12 cadets in the main cabin. Returning to the shuttle now. The ship's orbit is degrading rapidly." "Understood. We have the 3 from the engine room." "Heading back," Jack replied. Another violent shudder ran through the ship. Warning alarms intensified. "Hull breach detected. In Sector 7, announced the ship's computer. "Critical failure imminent." Jack helped Sam stand. "Can you walk?" Sam nodded, though clearly in pain. "I'll manage." Lily scanned the corridor with a portable device. "We have a problem. The route back to the airlock is now blocked. Hull breach has sealed the emergency doors." Jack checked his own scanner and frowned. "We need an alternate route. Through the maintenance tunnels, maybe." His communicator activated again. "Human Miller." Viexir's voice sounded tense. "The shuttle has sustained further damage from the gravitational stresses. We cannot maintain docking integrity for more than 10 minutes. Jack made quick calculations. That's not enough time to find another route with injured cadets. A horrible realization settled over them. The shuttle couldn't wait, and they couldn't move fast enough. "You need to go," Jack told Lily. "Take Sam and the others. I'll find another way." Lily's face hardened. "No way. We all go, or none of us do." Jack pointed to the injured aliens. "They'll die if they stay, and the shuttle can't wait." "Then I'll stay too," Sam insisted, standing straighter despite the pain. "That's not happening," Jack said firmly. "Lily, you're the best pilot among us. You need to get them back safely." Lily knew he was right, but she hated it. "What about you?" Jack managed. A smile. "I'll stabilize the ship's orbit long enough for a second rescue mission. There's a manual override in the bridge. If I can reach it, I can buy some time." "Human Miller." Vixire's voice came through again. What is your status? Change of plans. Jack answered. Lily is bringing the injured cadets. I'm staying behind to stabilize the orbit. There was a long pause before Vixire responded. That is not advisable. It's necessary, Jack said simply. Sometimes one person has to risk everything so others can live. As Lily reluctantly prepared to lead the injured cadets through the alternative route she'd found, Jack placed a hand on Sam's shoulder. Remember this, he said quietly. This is what scars are really about. Jack ran through the buckling corridors of the stellar wind. Each step was a fight against the increasing gravity pulling the ship toward the gas giant. He had to reach the bridge and access the manual controls before it was too late. Behind him, Lily was leading the 3 injured cadets to the shuttle through an alternate route. He knew she would protest until the last moment, but ultimately her duty to the injured would win out. That was something all humans understood. Sometimes saving others meant leaving someone behind. The bridge door was sealed by emergency protocols. Jack pried it open with a tool from his belt, muscles straining against the heavy metal. Inside, the bridge was dark except for the flashing emergency lights. Through the main viewport, the gas giant loomed enormous, its swirling storms seeming to reach for the ship. Jack moved to the navigation console. Many systems were dead, but the manual thruster controls still responded. With quick, practiced movements, he rerouted power from non-essential systems. Just need to stabilize the orbit long enough for another shuttle, he muttered to himself. His communicator crackled. Human Miller, Vexer's voice came through. The shuttle is departing now with all other survivors. Your actions are not logical but appreciated. Take care of them, Professor, Jack replied. And make sure the Academy sends that second shuttle quick. As he worked, a sudden explosion rocked the ship. A control panel beside him burst into flames, sending shrapnel into his side. Jack cried out in pain, but kept working. Blood seeped through his uniform, but he ignored it, focusing only on the task at hand. On the departing shuttle, Vexer watched the video feed from the Stellar Wind's bridge cameras. The feed was spotty, breaking up frequently, but he could see Jack working despite his injury. Remarkable, Vixire said quietly. He continues despite damage to his body. Druxtal stood behind him, watching the same feed. Perhaps there is wisdom in their scar traditions after all. The human does not fear pain or damage when purpose demands it. Lily sat with the injured cadets, her face tense with worry. We need to request an immediate second launch. Jack won't last long with that injury. In the back of the shuttle, Sam Cooper regained consciousness. Despite the medic's protests, Sam moved to watch the video feed. Lieutenant Miller stayed behind for us? Sam asked, voice raspy. Yes, Lily said. He's buying us time. Back on the Stellar Wind, Jack had managed to stabilize the orbit temporarily. The ship would hold position for perhaps an hour, enough time for a rescue if the Academy acted quickly. He slumped against the console, hand pressed to his bleeding side. Bridge to Academy, he called through the emergency channel. Orbit stabilized temporarily, ready for pickup whenever you're free. He tried to sound casual, as if he weren't sitting alone on a failing ship with a serious injury. It was what humans did, made light of danger, especially when nothing could be done about it. The ship groaned around him as metal stressed beyond its limits. More systems were failing by the minute. Jack wondered if the structural integrity would hold long enough for rescue. Suddenly he heard a noise from the corridor outside the bridge. Jack tensed, reaching for a tool that could serve as a weapon. The ship should be empty. The door to the bridge slid open, revealing a battered figure, Sam Cooper. What the hell? Jack exclaimed. You were supposed to evacuate. Sam moved into the bridge, limping but determined. I hid in a maintenance closet when Lily wasn't looking. I couldn't let you stay alone. That was a stupid move, Cadet, Jack said, but there was no real anger in his voice. Maybe, Sam agreed, moving to help Jack with his injury. But humans don't leave their own behind. You taught me that just now. Jack shook his head but couldn't help smiling through the pain. Well, since you're here, help me reroute these controls. We need to squeeze every minute we can out of these thrusters. As they worked side by side, the two humans shared a connection that went beyond words. Both understood what it meant to risk everything for others. Both knew what it meant to bear the marks of their choices. On the returning shuttle, Professor Vexier watched the feed in astonishment as two humans now worked furiously to save the ship. The video quality was poor, breaking up constantly, but one thing was clear. Neither human showed fear despite their injuries and desperate situation. I think, Vexier said to Druxtal, I am beginning to understand their damage markers after all. 3 days after the rescue, Jack opened his eyes in the Academy medical bay. The bright lights made him squint. His side was bandaged where the shrapnel had torn into him. He turned his head to see Professor Vexier standing nearby, all 4 arms clasped behind his back. Welcome back, Human Miller, Vexier said. You have been unconscious for 73 hours. Jack tried to sit up but winced at the pain. Sam Cooper, did the second shuttle make it in time? Yes. Cadet Cooper is recovering well. The rescue shuttle reached you both with 18 minutes to spare before the ship's orbit failed completely. Jack relaxed slightly. And the other cadets? All surviving, Vexier confirmed. The Irvani required extensive crystal restructuring, and the Melogian lost 1 tentacle, but there were no fatalities. Jack nodded, satisfied. Then he noticed something unusual about Vexier. The professor had a small mark on one of his lower arms, a thin line of darker blue against his normal skin tone. Professor, what happened to your arm? Vexier glanced down at the mark. I sustained minor damage during the rescue operation, a small cut. But you didn't have it regenerated? Jack observed. No, Vexier said, his silver eyes meeting Jack's. I decided to study your human tradition more directly. Before Jack could respond, the medical bay doors opened. Director Clovari entered, followed by Druxtal, Lily, and Sam. Sam walked with a slight limp but looked otherwise recovered. Lieutenant Miller, the director said formally. The Academy Council has reviewed the rescue operation. Your actions saved 17 lives, including your own and Cadet Cooper's. Druxtal stepped forward. Your methods violated standard protocols but achieved optimal results. The Council believes there is wisdom to be learned from this. Jack raised an eyebrow. You're not upset about the broken rules? Rules exist for common situations, Clovari explained. We now recognize that adapting to uncommon situations is a valuable skill, one that humans seem particularly adept at. Sam approached Jack's bed. A fresh scar now marked Sam's forehead, a reminder of the stellar wind incident. They wanted to regenerate this completely, Sam said, touching the scar. I refused. Lily smiled. I told them it was a human tradition. They're calling us memory keepers now instead of damage preservers. The Academy Council has approved a new cultural exchange program, Director Clovari announced. Once you are recovered, Lieutenant Miller, we would like you to lead it. Lead a program? Jack asked, surprised. Professor Vexier nodded. Your first course will be titled Adaptation Through Adversity, Human Resilience Strategies. Many students have already registered, including several instructors. Jack looked at them all in amazement, then back at the small mark on Vexier's arm. Understanding passed between them. I would be honored, Jack said. 1 week later, Jack stood before a classroom filled with alien students from every species in the Academy. His new scar was healing well, a line of pink against his skin that would eventually fade to silver, but never disappear completely. Today, we begin understanding how different species adapt to challenges, Jack started. Humans believe that overcoming difficulty makes us stronger, and our scars remind us of lessons learned. In the front row, Sinitel's scales shifted to a curious orange. The young Peldorian raised a hand. Is that why you and Cadet Cooper refused? Complete regeneration? Yes, Jack nodded. Each scar tells a story of survival. They remind us that we've faced difficult times before and made it through. From the back of the room, Professor Vexier observed quietly. Beside him sat Druxtal, who had insisted on attending despite being an instructor himself. The combat master had a small cut on his scaled arm that was healing naturally. When Jack noticed this, Druxtal gave a small nod of acknowledgement. "I wish to remember this lesson properly," the reptilian instructor explained. After class, Jack found Vixir waiting in the corridor. The professor studied him with new understanding in his silver eyes. "I have been in space for 137 years, Vixir said. "I have encountered many species across the galaxy, but never have I seen a tradition that transforms physical damage into psychological strength quite like yours." Jack smiled. "That's the thing about scars, Professor. They're not just marks of what happened to us. They're reminders of what we survived." Outside the classroom window, the gas giant turned slowly, its storms creating ever-changing patterns across its surface. Like the humans and their scars, it was both damaged and beautiful, a reminder that imperfection did not diminish value, and that there was wisdom to be found in embracing the marks left by life's storms.